Hello and welcome to episode 391 of the Daily Sales Message Podcast, where every single day I share a piece of simple and actionable advice that's designed to help you feel more confident and sell more stuff too. Today we're talking about two types of proof. Now, your buyers are looking for proof when they're buying from you. They want reassurance that you can actually deliver. It's safe, it's trusted, it's a well-worn path. They're not taking a risk here. It's all good. One of the best ways to do that, one of the elementary ways to do that, is through case studies and reviews and star ratings. Whether you're on Google, whether you're on Trustpilot, Facebook, LinkedIn recommendations is my kind of weapon of choice. Wherever you happen to be, having as many bits of proof as physically possible will always set you in good stead. It's not hard to do, but it's one of those boring basic tasks. You just have to make it part of your sales process, part of what you're up to, so you don't forget. And eventually, at the time of writing, I've got over 500 LinkedIn recommendations. It took me a couple of years to get it, but eventually you have such a large, ridiculous number of them that when you're talking to people, they almost laugh at you like, it's too much proof, it's fine, I'm sure you can do what you can do. That's social proof. The second type of proof, and just going back to social proof for a second, I think the reason a lot of people don't have it is because they forget about it, they don't see the value in it. But social proof is a massive conversion tool, and there's a little trick, a little hack that I use to get as many as possible. And I kind of stumbled across this, but it's worked very well. I share my goal with people. When I say, hey, could you leave me a link to recommendation? I don't just say, hey, could you leave me a link to recommendation? I say, hey, I'm trying to hit 500, 600, 1,000, 50, 200, whatever the number happens to be. I'm trying to hit this many LinkedIn recommendations. I'd really appreciate it if you could leave me one. And that works really well because people realize that I'm watching that number. And if they don't do it, I'm going to know about it. But also they want to support me. They don't want to let me down. If I've done a good job, which I'm supposed to have done, then they'll want to reciprocate my hard work and kindness, hopefully, and leave me a link to recommendation. So sharing a goal that you have, that's how I got as many social proof, as many recommendations, bits of social proof as possible. Anyway, back to what we're talking about. Social proof is one of them. The other type of proof, systems proof. Systems proof. Now think about this. If I asked you right now, as you're listening to this or watching it, how do you do what you do? How do you do what you do? You know in your head if you've got a really simple explanation for that, or it's really long-winded, like, oh God, where do I begin? You know which one of those you are. If you can get explaining what you do down to, it's a blah, blah, it's this many steps, it's this much process. You've got the steps that are highlighted. It could be a process, an essential model, whatever. But there's the highlighted number of steps. We then have a visualization of it. So there's like a little diagram. The diagram's got to be so neat and simple that you could remember to do it, and you can sketch out. You don't need a PowerPoint to show me what it is. So you know what the steps are. You've got a simple articulation for it, and then you've actually named it. So it has a name, and ironically, the name doesn't really matter, but the fact it has a name helps. That gives me confidence, systems proof, confidence you can do what you need to do, because if you can articulate how you're going to work and it seems so professional, well put together, it's got a name and a diagram and it's all laid out and blah blah blah, that's really attractive because it doesn't just feel like you're going to be winging it and doing whatever. You've taken the time to document what you're up to. That's compelling for me. So the two types of proof that you can use to convince and convert your buyers. One, social proof, number of reviews, case studies, testimonials, etc. Second one, systems proof, proving that you can actually do what you claim to be able to do. Right, that's it for this episode of the podcast. Tomorrow in episode 392, we're talking about, as I move my camera, my well-edited podcast, 392, we're talking about attention. There's a facet of attention, a particular facet of attention that's well worth thinking about. It makes perfect sense when I explain to you tomorrow. But it's only when we behave in that way, we recognize how attention works, that we can get the best out of it. But we'll cover that in tomorrow's episode. Thank you for listening or watching all the way to the end. I do appreciate it, particularly when I go off track, talk for ages and get things wrong and change the camera. So it's exciting. I'll catch you tomorrow for hopefully a slightly higher quality edition of the Daily Sales Message.